Hello everybody. First in this lecture, we will see how to design a voltage divider bias circuit with some given specifications. So design of a VDB circuit with given design specifications. Now the specifications are given: VCC given as 15 volt, VCE given as 5 volt, IC given as 5 milliampere, and H capital Fe, that is beta DC, is 100. So you know how to draw the voltage divider circuit. Now let us without going into further extending our discussion about drawing the circuit, let us go into the design directly. Now in the voltage divider circuit, you have seen that we have devised some design equations. Number one is, we have found VB as VCC into R2 by R1 plus R2 by this was actually called the VThevenin voltage in the simplified form. I have told you in my last lecture. In the second case, the equation is IE equal to VB minus VBE divided by RE. And the third equation was VCE equal to VCC minus IE into RC plus RE. So these were some of the useful equations of voltage divider bias circuit. Now using this third equation, what we can write: IE, rearranging the equation, IE into RC plus RE, that is equal to VCC minus VC. So this is 15 minus 5, 10 volt is the result. Now this 10 volt, what is that? It is the total resistance of collector and emitter into the emitter current. So this 10 volt is the total voltage drop across RC and RE, we can say. So in this case, let it is assumed that the resistances RC and RE are so selected that this total voltage drop 10 volt is equally divided across the RC and RE resistances. So the voltage drop across RE given by VE is assumed to be VRC, that is the voltage drop across RC, and that should be given by 10 divided by 2, that is 5 volt across each of the resistance, each across the resistance RC and RE. So therefore we may find the value of RC as VRC divided by IC. IC is given as 5 milliampere, so 5 volt divided by 5 milliampere, that is 1 kilo ohm. So this is one result of the design. Now as because IE can be approximately called equal to IC, so from this result we can get RE equal to VE by IC, because IC is equal to IE, you know, and we have IC given in the problem. This is the value of IC, 5 milliampere. So put over here 5 volt divided by 5 milliampere, so it should also be 1 kilo ohm. Now we can write VB equal to VE plus VBE from the input loop or the input circuit of the voltage divider bias circuit. So this is 5 plus 0.7, that is 5.7 volt. Now let in the diagram we have mentioned a current I dash which is flowing through the resistance R2, flowing through R2. We have seen in the voltage divider bias circuit. So now we can say I2 approximately equal to IC divided by 10. Now this was the condition that was required for ensuring the bias stability of voltage divider bias. That means to ensure that the Q point should be stable. But at the same time we need to ensure that the input resistance should be high of the transistor amplifier. So at the same time these two will cannot be maintained, because unless and until this condition is satisfied. So this condition will ensure the simultaneous establishment of these two facts which are required for proper operation of voltage divider circuit. This theory we have discussed in the last lecture. So using this formula, this is not I2, this is I dash actually. This I dash which is flowing through R2. So this is the relation between I dash and IC. So now since we have IC in our hand, so we can calculate I dash from here. It is 5 milliampere divided by 10, that is 0.5 milliampere. So this is the current that is flowing through R2. So now R2 from the circuit, you can see that R2 can be found by V by I, that is VB divided by I dash. Now what is VB? We have found it is 5.7 volt. So it is 5.7 divided by 0.5 milliampere. So it will give you 11.4 kilo ohm, the value of R2. And then how to find the R1? R1 is voltage across R1 denoted by VR1. VR1 is the voltage across R1 by I. And what is the current? Current is I dash approximately, because the other current is, there is another part of current, that is IB mixed up with this I dash, but as compared to I dash, IB is negligible, so we should ignore here IB. So therefore it is VR1 divided by I dash only, and that is, and what is VR1? VR1 is from the circuit VCC minus VB divided by I dash. So it is 15 minus 5.7 from the given values divided by 0.5 milliampere, and it will be 18.6 kilo ohm. So in this way what we have found? We have found R1, R2 and RC and RE. So all the design resistances, design values we have calculated from here. So this is how we can design a voltage divider bias circuit by finding all these parameters R1, R2, RC, RE, etc. So this is another problem. We need to design from this circuit a voltage divider bias circuit. We need to design from this given circuit, and the VCC is given as 12 volt supply. The bias conditions to be maintained: IC equal to 1 milliampere and VC equal to 3 volt. VCE is equal to 3 volt. So this is the design condition or bias condition to be maintained. Now let us start the solution. For good bias stability, that means for a very good stable, to get a very good stable Q point, what should be the condition? VE should be far greater than VBE. Let VE is equal to 5 volt. let VE is equal to 5 volt. We assume this. So R4, that is the VE measured across R4. So what is the value of R4? It is VE divided by IE. That means approximately VE by IC, and IC is given. So 5 divided by 1 milliampere, that is 5 kilo. Now we can write also VE equal to IE into R4, that is 1 milliampere into 5 kilo. Now this should be 5 volt. Also VC is equal to VE plus VC. You can see from the diagram, VC is this much voltage, which is VE this much voltage plus VC this much voltage. Now from here we can calculate, put V as 5 volt and VCE as 3 volt already given our bias condition. So this is 8 volt, VC is 8 volt. Now the voltage across R3 denoted by VR3. R3 is this resistance. You can say this as a collector resistance. VR3 is nothing but VCC, the whole voltage, minus this overall voltage, the balance voltage, that is VC. VCC is full and VC is this much. So the rest is voltage across R3, which is VR3. So VCC minus VC. So that means 12 minus 8, that is 4 volt. So therefore, what is in the design problem, we need to find all these resistances. So what is R3? R3 is VR3 divided by IC, because through R3 you can see that IC is flowing. So 4 divided by, what is the value of IC? 1 milliampere. So that means it is 4 kilo ohm. So R3 is 4 kilo ohm. Now again we can say VB at the input side, VB is VE plus VBE. You can check, this much is VB, this is V is this much and VB is this much. So if we combine the two, we can get the total VB. So VB is this much. So now V, we have found what is V, it is 5 volt. So 5 plus VB is 0.7. So this is 5.7 volt. VB is 5.7 volt. Now this VB is responsible for the current that is flowing through R2. And now if we mark the two currents, that is, suppose the current that is flowing through R2 is I2. So we can find the value of I2 from here, and that I2 as per the condition of voltage divider bias circuit should be IC divided by 10, 1/10 of IC to maintain high input resistance as well as high input resistance of the BJT, and as well as to ensure stable Q point. So this is IC divided by 10, that is I2. Or we can say, to keep the similarity with the previous problem, let this be I dash. Then you can understand better. So I dash equal to IC by 10. So here IC is 1 milliampere divided by 10. So this is how much? 100 microampere. So therefore R2 can be how much? R2, this is VB divided by I dash, from the circuit, VB divided by I, that is R, and accordingly we can calculate R2. Now how much is VB? VB is 5.7 volt divided by I dash is 100 into 10 to the power minus 6, 100 microampere. So this should be 57 kilo ohm. The resistance R2 is 57 kilo ohm. Now I dash is 5.7 divided by 57 into 10 cube. So this is how we can calculate I dash also. So this is 57 divided by 57 into 10 to the power 4. So this is 10 to the power minus 4 ampere. That means it is, so this is 0.1 milliampere, or it is 100 microampere. So now R1, again R1 is given by, see the diagram, this one, it is VCC 12 volt minus 5.4 volt, 5.7 volt. That means this is whole VCC and this is VB. So if we subtract VB from this VCC, we should get the voltage across R1. So it is VCC minus VB divided by I dash, because through this again I dash will flow, because through this actually the current is I dash plus IB, but IB will be very small, so it can be ignored with respect to I dash. So we can say that I dash will flow approximately through R1. So this is 12 minus 5.7. What is VB? VB is 5.7. So 12 minus 5.7 divided by 100 into 10 to the power minus 6, 100 microampere. That is my I dash. So this, so calculate this one. 6.3 divided by 100 divided by this is 10 to the power minus 4. So this can be written as 0.63 milli kilo ohm. No, actually not. It is equal to 6.3 into 10 to the power 4 ohm. So this is nothing but 63 kilo ohm. So this is how we can design, find the values of R1, R2, R3, R4, and in this way we can design this circuit. So now this circuit is complete, since we have found all the resistances, bias resistances for this circuit, R1, R2, R3 and R4. So this is the way of designing a voltage divider bias circuit. Okay. Now let us see some other type of biasing techniques. These techniques are other type of biasing technique. These techniques are rarely used nowadays in new designs, but they exist in the system. So no detailed analysis is required of these circuits, only you need a little bit of awareness about the concepts of this type of biasing techniques. So first let us see emitter feedback bias. Emitter feedback bias. To start with emitter feedback bias, let us first recall our discussion on base bias. The limitation of base bias circuit is to fix up the Q point is problematic. This was the base bias circuit. RC, RB, this is VCC plus VCC, and this is the NPN transistor. So this was the simple base bias circuit. Now here, since the base current is fixed, the collector current varies when the current gain varies. So as a result, the fixation of Q point at a particular location is difficult for this type of bias, base bias, and that is one of the big limitation of this using this type of biasing technique. So the Q point as a result will move all over the load line with replacement of the BJT and the temperature change, which in turn change the value of beta. So in earlier times, the first attempt was to stabilize the Q point. The first attempt to stabilize the Q point was emitter feedback bias, used in earlier times. The circuit will be something like this. This is RB, this is RC, this is RE. So the difference is, with the base bias circuit, one additional resistance RE is connected between the emitter terminal and the ground, and that is the emitter feedback bias circuit configuration. So you can notice that this emitter resistor has been added. Now the basic idea of this circuit is, if IC increases in this circuit, VE will increase, because IC will flow through this direction, through the across this RE also. So VE, that is the voltage across this RE, that will also increase, because the IC will make a voltage drop, will create a voltage drop, will produce a voltage drop across RE. So it will cause VB to increase, and as a result, if VE is increasing, that means VE plus VB is total VB. Total VB means this is VB, and this is measured with respect to ground. So this VB is VE plus VB. VB is this much. So now if in this case VE is increasing, so VB will increase, and more VB means less voltage across RB. So if VB is increasing, that means VB is the bottom terminal of this resistance RB. Now if this point, this node voltage is increased, that means this node voltage is found by VCC minus the drop across RB. So if this point, this node voltage is increasing, that means we can say that the drop across RB will become less, because this side, the lower side is increasing, that means the drop across RB will be less, and drop across RB will be less, means it will establish the fact that IB, that is being flown through this RB, which is producing the voltage drop IB-RB, that will become less. That means IB will become less in turn. So if IB will become less, that means it will immediately try to decrease the value of IC also. But initially we have considered that because of IC being increased, V will be increased, and accordingly successively all the things will happen. So at the same time, it cannot be said that if IC is considered to be increased, IB should not be considered to be decreased. So these two interests will be conflicting in nature. These two phenomena will be conflicting in nature, that IC will be increasing means IB will be decreasing. These two means they are conflicting in nature. Why? Because IC and IB is related by this relation IC equal to beta IB. So if IC is increased, that means IB should have to be considered, it will also increase, but here we can see that IB is getting decreased actually. So it is conflicting in nature. So it is seen that it will result less IB, which will oppose the original increase in IC. So that means if we consider that IB will get decreased, that means that will oppose the increase in IC, because if IB is decreased, that means it will try to make IC also decrease. That means if IC is considered to be increased, that means IB will always try to stop the increment of the IC. This phenomena, this thing is called feedback, because a change in the emitter voltage by the conduction of IC, change in the emitter voltage, that is VE, is being fed back to the input base circuit in such a way that the IB will control the flow of IC. That means the decrease of IB will try to decrease the try to stop the increase of IC, and thereby we can say this is the effect of feedback. So the change in emitter voltage is being fed back to the base circuit, and this feedback is called negative feedback, because the decrease in IB will oppose the increase in the collector current. That means will oppose the original change in the collector current. So this is called negative feedback. And because of this emitter voltage being used for the feedback purpose, this type of biasing technique is called emitter feedback bias. The movement of Q point is still too large for most applications in this biasing technique, and let us see some of the equations to be used for designing this type of biasing circuits. IE is equal to VCC minus VBE by RE plus RB by beta DC. The derivations are not important, but these are the working equations for this circuit. So this IE can be found by VCC, the whole voltage across all, this VCC minus VBE divided by RE plus RB by beta DC. Second equation is V equal to IE/RE. The detailed derivation is not required, only the equations you can remember. VB, this voltage VB, which is VBE, that is 0.7 volt plus VE, and at the output circuit VC equal to VCC minus ICRC. So these equations are the common, only the uncommon is the first equation, whose derivation is not that much important. So the intention of emitter this type of biasing is to swamp out the variations in beta DC. That means to leave out the variations in beta, that is RE. The emitter resistance should be much greater than RB by beta DC. That means to nullify the effect of beta on this biasing technique, this RE should be selected in such a way that should be greater than this term RB plus RB by beta DC. So RB by beta DC term may be neglected. If this condition is satisfied, then this equation, the first equation, will be insensitive to changes in beta DC. And in practical circuits, a designer in fact cannot select RE large enough to leave out the effects of beta DC without cutting off the transistor. That means without taking the transistor into the cutoff region, designer cannot cannot select a large value of Re to leave the effects of beta on the operation of this circuit. So we can conclude with telling that this emitter feedback biasing technique is not much a better technique than a base bias technique. Next biasing technique is collector feedback bias. This is also just you require the concept only, not much details required by you. The figure is giving you the collector feedback bias circuit. This is RC, this is VCC applied over here, this is RB. So this is the collector feedback bias circuit. So it is also called in some by some authors it is also called self bias, but it is not primarily called a self bias, but you can also call it as a self bias circuit, or alternately called collector feedback bias circuit. This was earlier times this was another attempt to stabilize the Q point. The basic idea is to feedback a voltage to the base in an attempt to neutralize any change in the collector current. The same as we have seen in the emitter feedback. I once again repeat, the basic idea of this circuit is to feedback a voltage to the base from the output, that is from the collector terminal. You can see the collector, from the collector terminal through RB connection is made into the base. So a feedback is made into the base in an attempt to neutralize any changes in the collector current. That's why the feedback is taken from the collector terminal through which the collector current is passing. So let us see how this circuit will work. Suppose the collector current increases, and this will decrease the collector voltage, because if the collector current is increased, that is passed through RC, and that will make a large voltage drop, and if that voltage drop is subtracted from VCC, we can get this voltage VC. So that is the collector voltage. So increase of IC means decrease of VC. So it will decrease the voltage across the base resistor. Now if this voltage is decreased, this node voltage is decreased, that means it is the voltage actually between the collector terminal and the base terminal of the BJT. So that means decrease of VC means it is, this arrow means it is decreasing. Decreasing of VC means it is the decrease of voltage across RB. So it will in turn decrease the base current. Now if the voltage across RB is decreased, so the base current that is flowing through this base resistance RB, that will decrease, because the voltage drop across RB means it is IBRB. Now if IBRB, this term is decreased, that means IB will also decrease, that's why IBRB will decrease. So the base current will be decreased, and if base current is decreased, it will always try to decrease the collector current. But initially we have seen that we have assumed that the collector current is increasing, that means the decreasing of the voltage across the resistance RB will oppose the increase of the collector current. That means once again a negative feedback effect is observed in this biasing circuit. So this biasing circuit is will be hence called collector feedback biasing circuit, because the feedback is made from the collector terminal of the BJT into the base terminal, into the base circuit. And you always know that the feedback is taken from the output of any circuit and being fed to the input of that particular circuit. So once again, the output of the particular circuit is collector and input is base. So that means obviously the feedback is seen to be observed, is seen to be taken from the output collector to get into the base, which is the input of this circuit. Like emitter feedback bias, in this biasing technique will also establishing negative feedback in an attempt to reduce the original change in collector current so as to neutralize the effect of uh, the changes in beta and as well as the changes in the location of the Q point. So the equations that will be useful for collector feedback biasing, IE equal to VCC minus VBE by RC plus RB by beta DC. So the same equation, once again we can say that if designer selects RC far greater than RB by beta DC, we can leave out the problems related to the changes of beta DC, and thereby we can ensure that the Q point could be made at a stable position. But that is not possible for all occasions. Secondly, second equation is VB equal to 0.7 volt and VC equal to VCC minus ICRC. The Q point is usually set near the middle of the load line by using a base resistance, and RB is equal to beta DC RC. This is another working equation of collector feedback bias. Now if we compare the collector feedback bias with emitter feedback bias, we can see that collector feedback bias is more effective than emitter feedback bias in stabilizing the Q point. So this collector feedback bias is more effective than emitter feedback bias. This is one of the best comparison between these two type of biasing technique in stabilizing the Q point. In stabilizing, how it is effective? In stabilizing the Q point. Although the circuit is still sensitive to changes in current gain, this particular circuit, because not for all occasions this term will be ignored with respect to RC. So not for all occasions we cannot ignore the effect of changes in current gain, but still these two techniques of collector to feedback bias and emitter feedback bias may be used because of their simplicity in design. Now there is a final type of biasing technique which is called collector and emitter feedback bias. That means it is such a circuit where both types of previously used biasing techniques are combined. The diagram will be like this. This is VCC, this is RC, this is RB, and this is RE. So you can easily see that this area is collector feedback bias and this area is emitter feedback bias. If they are combined in a single circuit, that type of biasing circuit, this is the collector feedback bias and this is the emitter feedback bias. If these two are combined in a single circuit, it is called collector and emitter feedback bias. These steps were made by the designers in earlier times in order to provide more stable bias for transistor circuits. Even though the idea of negative feedback is still prevalent here, these circuits will fall short because there is not enough negative feedback for doing the job, because the feedback is not that much sufficient. This is why the collector and emitter feedback bias circuit is designed, because individually the collector feedback bias and emitter feedback bias was not sufficient to provide enough negative feedback for doing the job. That's why the next step done by the designer in biasing the circuit by combining the two to float a new idea about the collector and emitter feedback bias. That means it is the joint action of the two previously discussed biasing techniques. The basic idea is to use both the emitter and collector feedback effect in a single circuit via a single circuit to try to improve the overall operation of the circuit. And as it turns out, more is not always the better. Now combining both type of feedback in one circuit helps, but still falls short of the required performance needed. That means it was still not sufficient in spite of combining both the feedback effect of collector feedback and emitter feedback biasing techniques individually. So if you come across this circuit, the equations that will help you will be IE equal to VCC minus VBE by RC plus RE, because now these two will be combined because it is the combination of two individual feedbacks, plus RB by beta DC. Just the first equation of the previous two techniques are combined in a single equation, so these two will be combined. Next, VE equal to IERE, VB equal to another equation VE plus 0.7 volt, and finally VC equal to VCC minus ICRC. So this is all about the different biasing techniques used for BJT amplifiers.